Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are, and welcome to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Adam. I go by Snoo sometimes. I don't know what you'll call me, but you'll hear it. And I'm here with my boy, my hype man, Vic. How are you doing, Victor?
Doing good. Happy to be here with you. Happy to enjoy a nice drink. I'll always probably be drinking while we're here. And good to see you, man. Good
Okay.
to see you. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm doing great. I'm very excited. Today, we're going to be talking about the podcast and why we're here, what we're doing, what we're all about, and where we see ourselves going in the future. And obviously, we'll always be manned and ran by the guy in the back, Danny P, producers on the one and twos.
That
Daniel, how you doing back
boy,
there, bud?
that boy loved the back.
Awesome. Awesome. He's a little camera shy, so you'll just hear his voice. He'll chirp in every once in a while. But you're probably wondering why we're here. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the No Business Soccer Podcast. Before we get into what it's all about, a little bit of background on ourselves. We're just regular dudes who love soccer. The end. Call it end of the podcast. No, the real reason soccer is a big part of our lives. We love it as a sport. It's become personally my favorite sport, tied right there with American football. And it all started in 2006 whenever we were graduating. And I remember that summer we were helping one of our friends move to another place. And every morning we would go to the pool and the World Cup was on. I had never watched at this point when I was 17 years old, never watched a single soccer match, didn't know any of the rules, didn't know anything about it, but I was fascinated. I was glued to it. I remember looking up or after that first game we watched, I remember looking up the schedule for the upcoming matches. And every morning we went to that pool and we started playing soccer and we started hanging out and I was addicted. And I just remember thinking like, dude, this sport is so cool. Well, after that, you got to fast forward to 2010, the next World Cup. And again, I was addicted. I bought the magazines. I was reading the articles. I was getting hyped about this tournament. Like, how do people not talk about this more? Why am I going through these places, these bars, and nobody's showing these games? And it blew my mind that this game was so fun. They're so passionate on all places of the earth except for the US. And it drove me insane. I couldn't believe it. And I was also really mad that they only played soccer every 4 years. Like, how could this great game only be played every 4 years? And so I looked into it and I found out that nope, in fact, I was an idiot, which happens a lot in my life. And I started following the Premier League. I picked a team and it was off and running. And since then, it's quickly become, like I said, my favorite sport. And there's a lot of reasons to that. And the reason that we're here having this podcast is because I didn't fall in love with soccer because of the ones and twos, the tactical advantages. Everybody talking about, this coach's advantage mentality versus this. That's not what got me into it. What got me into it was the passion, was the actual atmosphere, the people that are making this beautiful game what it is. And right now, I feel like there's a lack of people that are telling these stories. We know about these games, we see the scores, and we hear about how these games are going to be played out. But what we're doing here on the No Business Soccer Podcast is we're talking about the people. We're talking about the stories, the players, what is making this world go round, and why this sport is loved across the world universally. And before I go into more of that, Vic, tell us a little bit about why you love this sport, because I know that when we got into this, it was kind of a weird thing. We'd be going to bars and there was like five people there, and it's grown a lot since then. But give us your
Yeah.
background on why you love soccer and why we're having this freaking podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even before we were going to the bars, it started because of you. You were like, hey, I'm watching Premier League. I like this team. You need to pick a team, and we're all going to root for a team. And I was like, all right, let me do a little bit of research. One, my favorite color is red, even though you
It's
adamantly
not true.
refuse that. I don't know
Not true.
why. Favorite color is red, so I was like, all right, I'm going for red team. Let me see. There's Manchester United. There's Liverpool here. There was Southampton, a little bit of red in there, a little bit of, but I was like, let me read about these and read a bunch. Manchester United was like just everybody knew who they were. I read about Liverpool and they were like, oh, they were really good in the '90s. They're red. They're really high scoring. I'm like, okay. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Good in the '90s, high scoring. That sounds like I'm a Liverpool fan. I'll be a Red, and I've been a Red ever since. Started watching their games. We started talking shit to each other. We started
Of
going to
course.
bars. Do you remember the breakfast shots at Mr. Tramp's? They would
Oh,
give us
can't forget those.
Jameson, orange juice, tastes like maple syrup, like pancakes and orange juice, and then you would follow it up with an actual piece of bacon. So it was amazing,
Mm,
and
great.
just yeah, hardly anything better than waking up early and watching some Premier League football. So started looking about the stories of the players, where all they came from. It's remarkable having like an 18-year-old on the team or 16-year-old on the team playing with all these grown men and everything, and it's just been one thing after another, and it's taken over as my favorite sport to watch, even above American football. And going back to American football, seeing them run like a 2 or 3 yard run, then they stop and they go back to the huddle and like you talk about it a little bit,
Commercials.
and
Oh
then talk,
my
yeah, and then
God.
they come back and they're like, all right, let's run another play. Oh, it's a 6 yard pass, and then they go back and then talk about it in the huddle, and yeah, whatever. It's still fun to watch. I still love football with almost everything in me. It's great, but soccer or the real football is really taken
The
over as
real
one of my
football.
favorite sports. And with Austin FC coming here in Austin, being one of the best environments to be around, it's just amazing to watch. And glad to be talking about it. Glad to be here and with my boys talking about some soccer, and hopefully getting a lot more people into soccer, and kind of opening their eyes to not just American football, not just the World Cup, but things that are going on at high levels over there in Europe. So
Well, I'll say first off, I didn't know. I don't even remember the fact like starting that conversation. I remember us picking teams, but I didn't know that that was like the jumping point. So that touches my heart, and I'm very happy to hear that. This is organic, guys. This is what we're here for. But I think that going back to our journey to being soccer fans, um, I want to kind of help people on that journey, because if there was someone like me that didn't, if there's someone out there that doesn't know about soccer, that's doesn't know about leagues and how they work, and just understanding the passion and all of the stuff that goes into making soccer what it is in Europe specifically, I want to kind of help guide people to that and get them into this sport, this awesome sport, because even though it's grown a lot, I think there's a lot more growth in the US, and really, you're not going to get that by watching, um, I hate to say it, MLS and some of the other leagues that's what we have here. But it's kind of like watching, here we have a club called Round Rock Express in the what are they, like the second division of baseball? So they're not professional, but then you have MLB, right? And so it's kind of like that. Like there's leagues around the world that are fun, and you have your team, but man, if you watch those top tier teams in Europe playing, it's kind of unbelievable what they can do. And being Americans from the South, it's all football here. And when I say football, I mean the American kind. And so just the fact that people could place a ball 50 yards down the pitch perfectly with their feet and not throwing it like that blew my mind to begin with. So man, I started from just young and dumb in this to learning more about the sport and growing in it. And that's what we're going to be doing here on the No Business Soccer podcast, is talking about the sport, talking about the stories and why this game is so much fun, and then hopefully bringing some more people along with us, building a community of people that can watch soccer, and one that's inclusive for everyone and helps everybody along the way. We're looking forward to it. But going forward, what our mission is with this podcast is, of course, with the tournaments, we'll be digging into those. The Euros coming up, Copa America, we'll be talking about some of the results there. World Cups, of course, but really the bread and butter of this podcast is going to be working title, but probably the European reach around is what we'll call it, where we'll be going through each week, each week,
I didn't discuss that.
recap.
I don't,
Yeah, working title, like I said, but going through each week and the top 5 European leagues, and going through the storylines for each country, and the standings every week, and what games are happening and what games are coming up. In this way, when I think about a podcast for soccer, I would like to have that type of content. And so if I'm going to be doing it for myself, because at this point I'm a soccer nerd, I'm reading all the articles and stuff, then I might as well be doing it for the other people out there in this world that want the same information but just aren't as nerdy to go out there and do it like I am. So I'm here. I'm a man of the people. I want to make this thing happen, and we're going to bring a lot of goodness, a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys are going to be with us along the way. And after a while, there comes to a point where I can't take it anymore. I can't just watch this beautiful sport on TV. I had to see it live. And at this point, we've been to Europe a few times now. We've seen a few different teams overseas play live, and I can't tell you what the experience is like in person. You just have to go see it for yourself. It's great on TV. It's why we love it. It's why we got into it. But when you see it live, man, it's something that you'll never forget, and you have memories for a lifetime. I remember one of the first European matches I went to was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium versus Marseille in the Champions League, and goosebumps. I mean, I could have cried if I wanted to, but I'm a man, and I just have this kind of persona. But it was just awesome to see Harry Kane and to see Sonny like right there in front of me in real life. Like they were real people. People, I was geeking out, and man, it's just so incredible. Even to smaller teams, like we went to go see Slavia Prague, and Slavia Prague fans for life now. How was that
Mm-hmm.
experience?
It's freaking awesome. I still have their scarf hanging up back there. You can't really see it, but it's literally right there. Bring it out every now and then, but I love it also because they're red. Adam, I like red. Uh,
Okay,
but yeah, every once in a while I'll bring that out whenever I don't have a piece of Liverpool merch and I'm watching Liverpool. It's like it's red. Can't really tell. But
man.
that was insane. Even just that little Slavia Praha um, crowd, they sounded like a train horn. The amount of like
Yes.
absolute just ecstaticness that's going on in the air there is incredible. So
And it's not like there's a bunch of music playing or there's a DJ trying to get the high, like, all right, everybody clap your hands. Like, no, they just
yeah.
do it. It's just organic. Everybody's chanting. And of course, they have like the guys who are leading the chants. But man, it's so incredible. Uh, Especially when you see a team like you think Slavia Prague, most people probably wouldn't even know who that is. But when you go see them, they don't care. They're packing that stadium out for whatever type of tournament or type of game it is, type of match. And man, it's so much fun. The most recent trip to Europe was, well, we were in Italy and we saw Fiorentina in the Conference League against
Mhm.
a Hungarian name. I need to learn it. But that honestly, that was like a life changing moment for me as a soccer fan, where it was no longer something that I could not talk about. It was no longer something that I can just keep to myself and bring up when someone talks about soccer to me. Because we were walking through the streets of Florence and we were hearing this like roar, this chant somewhere. We can't figure out where it is, and we turn this corner, and it's like this four-way stop square, and there they are. It's the Hungarian team had traveled over to Italy and Florence to go see their team play in the Europa Conference League. And it's not like it's the Champions League. It's not like it's Madrid versus PSG, right? These are just smaller teams. And there was probably 2,000 of them there, all cheering, chanting in unison. And you just get goosebumps and chills. And it's just amazing, the atmosphere and the power that has there. And I just remember thinking in that moment, like, people need to know about this. Like, it's not just Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United out there. There's a lot more to this. And that's what we're here for, just to tell these stories. And if you're wondering why we're calling ourselves the No Business Soccer Podcast, uh, basically, we're not here because we are geniuses in soccer. We're not here because we're prodigies. We're not here because we think we know everything and we can tell you all about the tactical advantages of this team and that team. That's not the stuff that we like to dig into and that we'd even like to talk about with most of the people when we're talking soccer. The reason why we're the No Business Soccer Podcast is because people will tell us that we have no business talking about soccer, but we don't give a fuck. We're here to have fun with it. Why we love this sport. We're here to talk about why we love it. This sport. We're here to talk about all the headlines and the stories and the cool goings on in all of these nations and these clubs across Europe. And really, that's the part that's inspiring for us. And that makes us want to travel a lot too, right? Because you want to see these things for yourself. And so, of course, there's going to be, oh, no ball, you don't have any ball knowledge, like there's none of this. We're never saying that we're experts in this field. All we are is experts in having some fun and being hype about soccer. That's what we expertise in. Isn't that right, Vic?
That's right, man. Some of my best like memories were from going to watch a soccer game in Europe. I think it's like 3 out of the top 5 memories besides like the food and stuff. But yeah, European soccer games are crazy. It's just we're here to have a fun time. All of this is fun and excited to share it with everybody out there.
I think that's really all that we can say about it. And the rest is just for us to get done and create this content for you guys. And we have socials, and we'll put everything out there, and we'll start this journey together, starting from the ground floor and taking it all the way to the penthouse. Um, I don't really have anything else to say other than thank you so much. And we're looking forward to building this out and seeing where this goes. So have
Cheers.
some scotch from around the world, from our boy Danny P on the ones and twos in the back, for hype man Vic over here. I am your host, Adam Aganya, Snooze, whatever you want to call me. And this is the No Business Soccer Podcast. We are so excited to be here, and we will see y'all soon.